Hello, welcome to Ms. Dougherty's classroom. This is the first of what I hope to be many videos on this channel. This video will be dealing with the topic of multiplying two-digit numbers by a one-digit number and three-digit numbers by a one-digit number using what is called the area model method. Now, you're watching this video, you're probably a parent or even a teacher or a student. And especially if you're a parent, you might be wondering, what is this method called area model method? I'll admit, we didn't have this method when I was a student. I kind of wish we did, because this is a great method for students who might struggle with regrouping or multiplication in general. So I'm going to show you two examples using a two-digit number multiplied by a one-digit number. Then I will show you two more examples using a three-digit number multiplied by a one-digit number. This method is based upon already knowing and understanding place value and expanded form, both of which I cover in my math curriculum. We cover that in our very first chapter of math. Okay, so let's get started. I got my whiteboard here. I also have a cat sitting here next to me who may be making an appearance. Okay, so let's start with a nice, simple two-digit number. I'm going to do 27, and we'll multiply this by 6. So here is our first multiplication fact. I'm going to set up the area model. This is what it looks like before we add the numbers. We're doing a two-digit number, so I put 2 squares in there. If you look over here, I broke up the number 27 into its expanded form. I have a 20 and I have a 7. What you do next is you multiply the 6 by each of these numbers. So for 6 times 7, we just have to think 42. We put 42 in there. Now, since 20 is a multiple of 10, we put a 0 here. Then all we have to think is what's 2 times 6? It's 12. And that gives us 120. So again, this is a really good method for students who struggle a little bit with their facts because they don't have to think what's 6 times 20. You just tell them there's 1 0 there, you put a 0, and they just think 6 times 2. Now we add. See, not so bad. Let's do another one. I'm going to erase my whiteboard. This time I'm going to choose a bigger number. We're going to do 82 multiplied by 9. So here's your multiplication fact. Once again, I'm going to set up my area model. It's just a rectangle, cutting the same number of pieces that I need for my bigger number. So I have 2 squares. I took a rectangle and I cut it in half. I'm going to look at 82 and I'm going to break that up. There's an 8 in the tens place, so that gives me 80. And then there's a 2 in the ones place. So now I think 9 times 2 is 18. It looks a little wonky there. Now I'm doing 9 times 80. 8 is a multiple of 10. And then 9 times 8 is 72. So 720. Once again, just add the two numbers together. Now we'll use the same method, but this time I'm going to use a 3-digit number times a 1-digit number. So for my first one, I think I'll do 427 multiplied by 5. So here is my multiplication fact. Now I'm using a 3-digit number. So once again, I'm going to draw my area model. This time, I'm going to need 3 spaces for the hundreds, tens, and ones place. I'm going to put my 5 over here. I'm going to break up 427 into its expanded form. So starting over here, I have a 4 in the hundreds place. That's going to be 400. Next, I have a 2 in my tens place. That's going to be 20. And last but not least, I got a 7 in my ones place. But just so you know, with this method, you can multiply the numbers in any order you like, which is another reason why I start with this method and then I move into another method called the partial products method. I will be posting a video about that method as well. I have my cat's like trying to knock off my camera now. Okay, I will post a video about that method as well, but right now we're going to focus on area model method. So I could start with the ones or the hundreds place. I'm going to start with my ones place, which is 35. I'm going to go over here. I'm doing 2 times 20. Since it's a multiple of 10, I put 1 0 here. And I think to myself, not 2 times 20, sorry, it's 5 times 20. I think to myself, what's 5 times 2? And that's 100. This is why it's very important to put your zeros first. Because if I had simply said 5 times 2 is 10, I may not have realized I forgot that last 0 and I should have 100. My marker is dying on me, so let me just fix this real quick. I need to get some new markers. At last, I have 5 times 400. Again, put your zeros first. You're doing a multiple of 100. You need a 0 in the ones place and a 0 in the tens place. And just think 5 times 4 is 20. That gets you 2,000. Just like with our last multiplication problem, now we add up all the numbers. Now, some of you might say, but this seems like it would take longer than the methods we learned as a kid. But the point is that many students still struggle with the concepts of regrouping and multiplication facts. So this is actually a good method to use for students' first time multiplying by multi-digit numbers, which at least in my school, and every school is a little bit different, in 3rd grade they learned their basic math rules. It is really to 4th grade to do multi-digit numbers. So that's why we use this method first in my 4th grade classroom. And eventually I do teach in the method some of us may have learned when we were growing up. I call the regroup and carrying over method. Usually make that a bonus lesson to teach the students, to explain them this is how I learned to multiply as a student. Some of them get it, some of them don't, and those that don't tell me they're so glad they didn't have to learn that method. Okay, but most of them get it. So again, we're going to add up all 3 numbers to get 2,135. Now we'll do one more example of area model using a 3-digit. So I'll do 100, and let's see, I'll do 175. And I'm going to multiply that by 3. Magic number for those of you that know the Schools Rock videos. So 175 by 3. I'm going to set up my area model again. I'm going to break this down to its expanded form. So I'm going to need 100, a 70, and a 5. And then 3. We'll start. You can do this method for your life. You might want to start with the big numbers, get them out of the way. This is a multiple hundred, so I'm going to put my 2 zeros here. Just think 3 times 1 is 3, 300. Put a 0 here because this is a multiple of 10. 3 times 7 is 21. Here we have 3 times 5, which is 15. Now we add all 3 of those together. And I promise to replace my marker before my next video. So we add all three up. My 3 is a little light there, so let me fix that just so you can see. And that gets you 525. And that is how you multiply using the area model method. I hope you've been able to find this video helpful. Right now my cat is sitting on my eraser, so I would find it helpful if she would move. She's not going to move, okay. Luckily I have an extra sock here. That's an odd sock. And by the way, odd socks or socks with little holes in them make great erasers for whiteboards. They make great erasers for whiteboards. Okay? See? Clean as a whistle. Okay, so thank you so much. I hope you found this video helpful. If there are other topics you would like me to cover on this channel, please just leave a comment below and I'll be happy to cover them. I do plan to later this week post a video about multiplying using partial products. Okay? God bless.